Next, the member for London West.
Thank you, Speaker. My question is to the Premier. Speaker, in February, 83-year-old Don Wilson slipped and cracked his pelvis. 4 days after admission to London Health Sciences Centre, Don was transferred to a long-term care home, a home that was in COVID outbreak with only 2 PSWs for a ward of 30 residents and no rehab services. Less than a week later, Don fell out of his LTC bed and was readmitted to hospital, where tragically on April 15th he passed away. Speaker, is this the kind of trauma and grief that more families will face with Bill 7?
And to respond, the Minister of Health.
You know, Speaker, every example is tragic when it ends up in death. But the member opposite is talking about the past, and our government is focused on making improvements in the future. We have talked and we have acted on home care in particular. I often talk about how, as a government, we are ensuring that hospital has capacity, that community care has capacity, that long-term care has capacity, that primary care has capacity. We're doing that through investments, specifically related to home care. I want to highlight the $1 billion that is in our most recent budget, which will ensure that 739 nursing visits are able to be provided in community, 157,000 nursing shift hours in community, 117,000 therapy visits, including physiotherapy, occupational therapy, and speech language pathology in community. It's what people deserve, it's what people expect, and it's what we are delivering.
Supplementary question.
Speaker, when Don's wife, Jane Burgess, heard about Bill 7, she contacted me to share her story. Jane and Don were told by the hospital that Don was being transferred to LTC and were not given any time to discuss or consider other options. Jane continues to live with the guilt that she didn't say no, but she was overwhelmed and felt they had no choice. Speaker, this was before the new powers under Bill 7 to admit patients to long-term care without their consent. No family should have to go through this. Will the government do the right thing and withdraw Bill 7?
Minister of Health.
You know, Speaker, I think that the member opposite is forgetting that the healthcare system as a whole needs to cooperatively work together for the patient. That is our goal as a government. You know, I point to Anthony Dale from the Ontario Hospitals Association in reference specifically to alternative level of care patients. Healthcare providers in Ontario are committed to working collaboratively with patients, with substitute decision makers, families, and caregivers during any transition into patient care. We are transitioning people into their homes with sufficient community care support. We are transitioning patients into long-term care homes with sufficient support. We're getting it done because we understand at the end of the day, alternative level of care patients deserve better than sitting in a hospital waiting for their next transition.